Every story of escape begins with a cage. This one began in New Jersey. His name was George Edward Wright, 19 years old. At that age, you think you're immortal. You think a bad decision is just a story you'll tell later. You don't understand that a single moment can become a gravity well, pulling your entire future into its dark center. A robbery, a panicked trigger finger, a life ended, another life sentenced. The court gave him 30 years.
30 years.
For a teenager, that's not a sentence, it's a burial. They didn't just lock him in a cell, they locked him in a future that was already over. But prison is a strange kind of university. For some, it breaks the mind. For others, it sharpens it. George Wright didn't serve his time, he studied it. He learned the rhythms of the guards, the language of the locks, the architecture of boredom. He wasn't waiting for release, he was waiting for an opening. And then, after 8 years, he created one. There was no alarm, no violence, no dramatic tunnel. One moment, he was a number in a ledger. The next, he was a blank space. When the guards came for the morning count, they didn't find an escaped convict. They found a ghost story. The man was gone, and all that was left was the unbearable quiet of a question no one could answer. How? The manhunt was instant, massive, and utterly silent. They had his fingerprints, his photo, his rage. But George Wright had learned the first rule of vanishing. To disappear, you don't run, you evaporate. Days became months, months became a void. America had lost him. And then, 2 years later, the void spoke back. September 1972, a Delta jet, 86 souls aboard, and 5 members of the Black Liberation Army. George Wright was no longer just an escaped convict, he was a revolutionary, and he was about to graduate from Vanishing Act to spectacle. The demand was historic, the delivery was surreal. They made the United States strip itself of its authority on live television under the eyes of the world, and then they took the money, refueled the plane, and pointed it toward a country that did not extradite, Algeria. For the second time, George Edward Wright escaped America. But this wasn't a quiet slip into the shadows. This was a middle finger written across the sky. And then the revolution ended. The news cycles moved on. His accomplices were caught one by one. Their stories had endings, but Wright's story did something else. It dissolved. He didn't live as a phantom. He lived as a man. He married, raised children, paid taxes. For 40 years, the most wanted hijacker in American history built a life of breathtaking normalcy, brick by quiet brick, while an ocean away, his FBI file gathered dust in a warehouse marked cold. All it takes is one click, one algorithm, one connection the human eye missed for 4 decades. In 2011, the past, long fossilized, suddenly breathed. They found him gardening. There was no chase, no final stand, just the gentle, brutal mechanics of time catching up. After a lifetime of running, the handcuffs must have felt almost familiar. America demanded his return. They wanted the final chapter, an old man in an orange jumpsuit, dying in the same system he'd humiliated. But Portugal looked at the man before them, not the ghost from the headlines. They saw a senior citizen, a grandfather, a man who committed no crime on their soil for decades. They saw a human being, not a political trophy, and they refused. George Edward Wright's story is not one of outsmarting the law forever. It is the story of outliving it. He didn't win a battle against justice. He watched the very world that wanted to judge him change its mind. He didn't just escape a prison, he escaped an ending. He spent his youth running from consequences, and in the end, he was granted the most unexpected consequence of all, a life. This is Anthology of Crime, where the story isn't always about who gets caught, but about who gets away and what away really means.